On July 10, 1936, she was born Elizabeth Hughes, the middle of 3 children born to Philip and Elizabeth Hughes in Dundee, Scotland. Times were hard. War was coming, but they didn't complain. Well, maybe a little. They moved to Birmingham at the tail end of the war. There were bombing raids. There were food shortages, but they just got on with it.
She had to take on a lot of responsibility and worrying about me, worrying about my mother. She was always the brains of the family, and she always did so well at school. Passed the 11 plus and went on to St. Paul's, all-girls school. Did very well there, and fortunately for you guys, this wouldn't be taking place if the nuns had their way, because they would try to persuade your mother to be a nun.
Her hobby was Irish dancing, and she became a champion. Later in Lake Oswego, Oregon, she would start a school for Irish dancing, and her students would excel at the state and regional levels.
And of course, she was a championship Irish dancer, and she was on TV in England.
She was not yet an adult by the standards of today when she took on the decision that would create immeasurable possibilities and promise for virtually everyone who loves her. My mother decided to abandon her life in Britain. She would move on her own to Montreal. She was 17 years old.
For months I've been showing off about sailing on the Queen Elizabeth on my way to Canada. But now the day was here. I was scared to death and didn't want to go.
On the morning of her departure, March 31st, 1954, Elizabeth woke early to pay one last visit to St. Catherine's Church, to pray for the strength to make her voyage.
At the bus stop, I met someone I hadn't seen for a while. She wished me luck on my trip, and I wished I were her, wished I could stay.
Her mother joined her and her boyfriend Morris in the taxi to the train station.
As I got in the taxi, I looked back at the old house and the familiar neighbor houses where my girlfriends lived. It was a nice sunny day. We didn't talk in the taxi.
The goodbye to her mother was especially painful. They held hands through the window as the train began to pull away.
I began to cry hysterically. The train moved out and she faded into the distance. I sobbed all the way to Southampton. It was the unhappiest day of my life. Morris and I bid each other goodbye, and I walked up the ramp with my big suitcase and my little suitcase. All I could think of was my mother going home alone, in tears.
This was the beginning for all of us. For all of us, it began with this moment of courage. This she was doing for her own mother, her younger brother. In Montreal, she and a good friend would sign on with the Reserve Air Force.
The truth of the matter is, in my opinion, her and her friend Edna, I think it was Edna Sangster, wanted to meet boys. It wasn't patriotic. I think it was to meet guys,
She quickly found a job at the Sun Life building in Montreal.
She arranged for my mother and I to come over, and then we all ended up getting an apartment together. And we were like either the Three Musketeers or the Three Stooges, depending on which one you want to think about.
She fell in love with Elizabeth Thomsen, a fellow immigrant from Denmark. They married, had 2 boys, and in 1967 moved their young family across the continent to Portland, Oregon, where Ike opened a new office for S.W. Hooper. Mom stayed at home to raise Glenn and me.
I don't have a single bad memory, not one single bad memory of all the years. She's been in my corner every single day of my life. I'm just so lucky.
In 1977, we moved to Mobile, Alabama, where Mom re-entered the workforce.
And it was a poor man's Kmart in Mobile at the time in the 70s, and she worked for a boss called Mr. Jeff Coate. And every night she had unbelievable stories of just comments, and she imitated him perfectly. And to him, to all of us, this was completely alien behavior, as was the whole area for us. So it was always very entertaining.
When the Thomsens moved back to Oregon, Mom went to work for Tektronix, which at that time was one of the largest companies in the state. In a relatively short time, she was hired as the assistant to the president of the company.
And I remember the night before she was going for the interview for the assistant to the CEO position, and she had trepidation about that. And I said, just go for it. You're so good. Just give it a try. And she got the job and held that job for 10 years. And again, that is a very difficult position to staff and to maintain.
How lucky am I? How lucky are we? All of us who have been influenced by you, loved by you, your intelligence, your integrity, your sense of honor and humor, of right and wrong, your actions, which have made all of the difference.
Happy birthday, Aunt Liz. Sending you birthday wishes.
Hey, Cousin Elizabeth. Happy birthday. Have a great celebration. I love you.
Happy birthday from New York.
Happy birthday, Liz. Have a great weekend. We love you.
Hey, Aunt Liz.
Hey!
Happy birthday. We love you.
We love you. We hope you have a fabulous 80th birthday.
Happy birthday, Liz! We love you! Fun fat!
Happy birthday, Mom. We love you.
Happy birthday, Liz.
So
from Montreal. This is what we heard. Bye.
Happy birthday, Grammy! We love you.
Love you very much.
We love you.